On the eve of my wedding to Ava Sinclair, the at-risk student she'd been sponsoring for 5 years posted a photo on Instagram. Finally settled into the new place. The bed Ava set up for me is huge and soft. In the picture, Leo Vance was sprawled across the custom Italian bed I had bought for our new home, grinning as he snapped a selfie. On his ring finger was my wedding band. The ring was a one-of-a-kind piece I'd had custom designed in the Diamond District. Ava had told me the size was off, and that she'd taken it to the jeweler for an adjustment. Turns out, she'd had it resized for her little brother. Worse, Leo had added his own comment below the photo. The feeling of being the first man to lie on this bed is just incredible. Winking face, a few of our mutual friends jumped in. Go, Leo. The early bird gets the worm. Is this his big sister or his sugar mama? LMAO. Can't wait for the wedding. Not sure whose wedding it'll be, though, ha ha ha. Blood rushed to my head. My fingers turned white as I gripped my phone. I left a single question mark in the comments. A second later, Ava's call came through. Her voice was as gentle as ever, but with an undercurrent of accusation. Ethan, what's your problem? Leo's just a kid. He's from a small town in the mountains. He's never seen anything like this. He was just excited. I was showing my brother our new home to give him some warmth and encouragement. What's with the passive-aggressive comment? Brother? A so-called at-risk student with no blood relation, a kid she just sent money to every month, was now important enough to sleep in our marital bed, wear my wedding ring and be defended by her with every breath? I fought to control my temper, my voice like ice. Ava, tell him to get the hell out of my bed and give me back my ring. Now. Immediately. There was a moment of silence on the other end, followed by Ava's choked sobs. Ethan, do you have to make a federal case out of this? It's just a bed, just a ring. Do all our years together mean less to you than these cold, material objects? I was just trying to do something nice, to show him our home, to give him something to aspire to motivate him to study harder, and you twist it with such a toxic mindset. I'm so disappointed in you. Her attempt to gaslight me sent my anger into overdrive. I'm toxic? Ava, for Christ's sake. That's our wedding bed. That's my wedding ring. The one I was going to marry you with. You let another man lie in it, wear my ring, and then you have the nerve to call me toxic. He's not just another man. He's my brother. Ava's voice grew shrill. Ethan, you're being so petty and paranoid. I can't believe I ever thought you were different. With that, she hung up. When I tried calling back, it went straight to voicemail, staring at the infuriating photo on my screen, at his line about being the first man. I felt a wave of nausea. Years of love? To hell with our years of love. Without a moment's hesitation, I screenshotted the post and sent it to our family and friends WhatsApp group. The group included both our parents, relatives flying in for the wedding, and our closest friends. I didn't add a single word. I just sent the picture. It was like dropping a bomb. My dad immediately tagged Ava's father. At Harrison Sinclair, what is this? Who is this boy? And is that the wedding band I helped Ethan pick out? Ava's mother, Eleanor, quickly jumped in to smooth things over. Oh, don't misunderstand. That's Leo, a disadvantaged student Ava sponsors. He's a very sweet kid. I'm sure they were just fooling around. I'll have a word with Ava right now. She said she'd have a word. But a second later, a private message from her popped up on my phone, her tone dripping with the patronizing wisdom of an elder. Ethan, a man needs to be magnanimous. Ava has a kind heart. She sees Leo as her real brother. How could you throw a tantrum in the group chat over something so small? It's embarrassing for both our families. The wedding is just days away. Don't make this ugly for everyone. Apologize to Ava, and we can all move past this. I stared at the text and laughed. Oh, I had an apology to make, all right, but not to Ava. I replied directly in the group chat, for my future mother-in-law and everyone else to see. Eleanor, I'm so sorry. The wedding is off. After sending the message, I turned off my phone and drove straight to the new condo, the place I had poured my heart, soul, and savings into, the place I had dreamed of as our home. Now, I was going to tear it apart with my own 2 hands. When I arrived at the condo, the door was slightly ajar. In the living room, Ava was comforting Leo in a soft, gentle voice. Don't be scared. I'm here. Ethan's just got a bad temper. He'll cool off in a couple of days. Don't take it to heart. Just stay here and relax. This will be your home, too, one day. Leo leaned against Ava's shoulder, his eyes red, looking like the victim of some great injustice. It's all my fault. Ava, I shouldn't have posted that picture. I was just so happy. I've never seen such a beautiful apartment, such a soft bed. I didn't think Ethan would get so angry. Does he hate me? Does he think a country bumpkin like me dirted his home? As he spoke, he shot a glance toward me at the door. A look that was part fear, part defiance. Ava's heart melted. She patted his back protectively. Don't be ridiculous. What do you mean, dirted? You're the brother I care about most in the world. Having you here finally makes this place feel alive. If he has a problem with you, he'll have to go through me first. What a touching, dramatic display of sibling affection. I leaned against the doorframe and clapped slowly, coldly. Are you two finished? If you are, then take your precious brother and get the hell out of my home. My sudden appearance made them both jump. A flash of panic crossed Ava's face before she composed herself, her expression hardening into one of self-righteous indignation. Ethan, have you lost your mind? I told you, Leo is my guest. He's my family. Family? I walked toward them, my gaze finally landing on Leo, a young man a few years my junior, with delicate features that now seemed utterly repulsive. In your family, is it normal for a brother to sleep in his sister's wedding bed and wear her fiancé's wedding ring? Leo flinched under my glare and shrank behind Ava, peering out with eyes that held both fear and a flicker of resentment. Like a mother hen protecting her chick, Ava threw her arms out to shield him. Ethan, don't you dare threaten him. He's sensitive. Sensitive. I scoffed. Too sensitive to post that provocation on Instagram for the whole world to see? Too sensitive to show off something that doesn't belong to him? You know, Ava, I always knew you were kind, but I never realized you were this blind. My words hit their mark. Ava's face flushed a deep red. You're being irrational. I'm being irrational. I pulled out my phone, opened the family WhatsApp group, and held it up for her to see. Take a look. Thanks to you and your brother, I'm now the biggest joke in our social circle. My parents are getting lectured by relatives about how their son is petty and throwing a tantrum right before his wedding. Meanwhile, you, Ava Sinclair, are the benevolent, misunderstood saint. She stared at the flood of messages, her face turning pale. Most people in the group, especially the extended family, were telling me to be the bigger person. Ethan, come on, that's enough. Ava is such a wonderful girl. Yeah, it's not worth ruining things over an outsider. You're about to get married. Stop being so dramatic. Ava seemed to find her courage in their words. She took a deep breath and stood up straight. Ethan, now that you've seen it, you should understand. People get it. If you apologize to me and Leo right now and delete that screenshot from the group, I'll pretend this never happened. We can proceed with the wedding as planned. She looked at me with an air of condescension, as if offering me a lifeline I should be grateful to grab. I actually laughed out loud. Apologize? Proceed as planned. I shook my head, walked over to the coffee table, and picked up a ceramic mug we had chosen together, one with our engagement photo printed on it. Then, right in front of them, I smashed it on the floor. The crash echoed through the room as shards flew everywhere. Ava and Leo both screamed. You're insane. Ava pointed at me, her voice trembling. I am, I said, my face devoid of emotion. Driven insane by you and your precious brother. Ava, I'm saying this one last time. Take him and get out of my condo. Otherwise, the next thing that breaks might not be a mug. The look in my eyes terrified her. Her bravado finally crumbled. She grabbed Leo's hand, her voice shaking. Fine, we'll go. Ethan, you will regret everything you've done today. She dragged Leo out of the apartment. Before the door closed, he glanced back at me. His expression was a complex mix of fear, hatred, and even a secret thrill. I ignored him. After they were gone, I stood among the wreckage of my living room and stared at the defiled bed in the master bedroom. The rage I'd been holding back finally exploded. I stormed into the storage closet and grabbed a sledgehammer left over from the renovations. Then I walked into the master bedroom, that huge and soft Italian designer bed. I brought the hammer down, again and again, until the frame splintered and the mattress was a mangled mess. Next was the wardrobe, the dresser. Every piece of furniture we had picked out together, every object that held a supposedly beautiful memory, was reduced to a pile of scrap under my furious blows. I was a man possessed, destroying everything until the entire condo was unrecognizable. Finally, gasping for breath, I stopped. Sweat mixed with tears, I hadn't realized I was crying, blurring my vision. Regret? No. All I felt was a raw, exhilarating release. After destroying the place, a strange calm washed over me. I sat on the floor in the middle of the ruined living room all night, piecing everything together. 5 years. She had been sponsoring Leo since he was in high school, all the way through college. Ava and I had been together for 3 of those years. That meant she was already supporting him before she even met me. At first, I had admired her kindness. Every month, without fail, she would wire him $2,000 for living expenses. On holidays and birthdays, she'd send new clothes and school supplies. After we got together, she mentioned that with her salary going toward her student loans and expenses, things were getting tight. So I offered to take over Leo's monthly allowance. I'd been paying it for 3 years straight. Ava often talked about him, telling me how, despite his poor background, he was brilliant and hardworking, the most inspiring kid she'd ever met. She showed me a photo once, a skinny, timid-looking boy. I never doubted her. But looking back now, the story was full of holes. She claimed he came from a poor family in the mountains, but on his Instagram, he was always sporting the latest iPhone and limited edition sneakers. There was no way a $2,000 monthly allowance could cover that lifestyle. And my wedding ring, how did she manage to have it resized so perfectly to fit Leo's finger? She must have secretly measured it long ago. Her concern for him went far beyond that of a sponsor. It wasn't kindness. It was a twisted game of puppet master. She treated Leo like her personal project, her possession, using my money to fuel her God complex and desire for control. And Leo was no innocent victim. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, enjoying my generosity while coveting my fiancée, trying to usurp my place. The two of them were a perfect match. Once I saw it all clearly, my heart turned to ice. Breaking up was inevitable, but just breaking up would be letting them off too easy. I wasn't just going to ruin them. I was going to get back every single cent I had ever spent on them, with interest. The next morning, I hired the best divorce and civil litigation attorney in the city, Mr. Davis. I told him everything. After listening, he pushed up his glasses, his eyes sharp and calm. Mr. Cole, I understand your objectives. First, terminate the engagement. Second, recover all assets you gifted to Leo Vance through Ava Sinclair. Third, make them pay for the emotional distress and reputational damage they have caused you. I nodded. Exactly, especially the second point. For 3 years, I sent $2,000 a month, plus extra for holidays and school supplies. It adds up to over $100,000. All that money was transferred through Ava, but I have records for every transaction, clearly marked Leo's tuition or Leo's expenses. I added. Mr. Davis considered this for a moment. It's tricky, but not impossible. In cases of gifts made through a third party with a moral stipulation, in this case, for educational support, the gift can be revoked if the recipient acts in bad faith. Leo's behavior is a clear violation. The key will be proving that the relationship between him and Ava was more than just a sponsorship. Does the Instagram post count as evidence? I asked. It helps, but it's not a smoking gun, Davis said. They could claim it was a joke or that he's just an immature kid. We need something more concrete to prove they were in an inappropriate relationship, or better yet, that they conspired to defraud you from the start. Conspired to defraud. The words echoed in my mind, and a bold idea began to form. Mr. Davis, I said, looking him straight in the eye, I need you to find me a reliable private investigator. A flicker of approval crossed his face. Mr. Cole, you've just made the smartest move possible. Sometimes, the law needs a little help from the shadows. The PI, a gruff ex-cop named Frank, was terrifyingly efficient. I gave him photos of Ava and Leo, their personal information, and the name of Leo's university. In just 3 days, he delivered his first report. Its contents gave me a whole new understanding of their shamelessness. First, Leo was no poor kid from the mountains. He was from a small suburban town in Pennsylvania. His parents were small business owners who, while not wealthy, were comfortably middle class. They owned 2 houses and a decent car. He didn't need anyone's charity. The mountain cabin Ava talked about was just a small cottage his parents owned for summer getaways. Second, Leo's reputation at school was terrible. He skipped classes and failed courses, but always managed to stay enrolled by buying gifts for his academic advisor and sucking up to his professors. He acted like a rich kid on campus, always dressed in designer clothes and taking different girls out on expensive dates. The money for this lifestyle came from his parents and, in large part, from Ava, which meant it came from me. I was giving him $2,000 a month. Behind my back, Ava was sending him another $3,000 to $5,000, calling it bonuses and spending money. I was funding a fraud's lavish party lifestyle with my own hard-earned cash. My fiancée wasn't just an accomplice. She was the mastermind. But the final part of the report was what broke me. Frank discovered that long before Ava and I were even together. She and Leo had frequently checked into a high-end boutique hotel downtown. He had the check-in records, timestamped down to the minute. The so-called sponsorship had been a lie from the very beginning. They weren't a kind sister and a hard-working mentee. They were a pair of cheats. Ava was enjoying the comfortable life and upcoming marriage I provided, all while using my money to support her boy toy on the side. She played me for a complete fool. An ATM. Rage, humiliation, disgust. The emotions churned inside me, threatening to swallow me whole. I clutched the report, my nails digging into my palm so hard they drew blood. But I didn't feel a thing. Calm down, Ethan. You have to stay calm. It wasn't time to show my hand. I wanted more than just my money back. I wanted to let them climb to the very peak of their arrogance, right before I sent them crashing down into hell. Over the next few days, Ava and her family bombarded me. First, Ava sent dozens of tearful voice messages, crying about how cruel and petty I was, reminiscing about our good times, trying to play the sympathy card. When I ignored her, her mother, Eleanor, started calling, her tone shifting from pleading to outright scolding, accusing me of being irresponsible and wasting her daughter's youth. Finally, even my future father-in-law, the usually quiet Harrison Sinclair, called me. His voice was heavy. Ethan, I know you're hurt, but Ava, the girl's heart is just too soft. You're the man, you have to be more understanding. Canceling the wedding over something like this will damage both our families' reputations. Look, I'll make her cut off contact with that Leo kid. How about that? Listen to how they downplayed it. Too soft. Something like this. In their eyes, the betrayal and humiliation I felt were just a minor mistake their daughter had made. They didn't care about my feelings, only about their family's reputation and the benefits of our union. It's too late for that, Harrison, I said calmly into the phone and hung up. It was time. I contacted Mr. Davis and sent him the PI's report. He was silent for a long time after reading it. Finally, he replied, Mr. Cole, this is no longer a simple civil dispute. This is felony fraud. I know, I said, but I don't want to go to the police. Not yet. Why not? Calling the cops is too easy. I want them to experience a complete and total social death. I laid out my plan for him. After I finished, Davis was silent again. Mr. Cole, he said slowly, your plan is thorough and brutal, but I have to admit, I like it. My plan was simple. Feign surrender to lure them into a trap. I called Ava. My voice was pitched with the perfect amount of exhaustion and regret. Ava, we need to talk. She was clearly surprised that I was the one caving, her tone carrying a hint of a victor's pride. Talk about what? I thought you said the wedding was off. I've had time to think. I said, maybe I was being too sensitive. We have too much history to throw it all away over a misunderstanding. Can we please just meet and talk this through? She was silent for a moment, weighing her options. In the end, greed won out. She agreed. We met at a high-end steakhouse in Midtown. Ava was dressed to the nines in a Chanel dress I'd bought her. Her makeup flawless. Every smile and gesture was the same one I had once been so captivated by. Now, looking at her face, all I felt was disgust. She sat across from me, elegantly cutting her steak, and asked with feigned casualness, So, you've thought things through? Yeah, I nodded, forcing a bitter smile. I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I shouldn't have been so impulsive, posting that in the group chat and smashing up the condo. I'll replace all the furniture. And the wedding. If you're still willing, I'd like for it to go on as planned. Ava's eyes lit up, but she maintained her composure. But what about Leo? I can't just cut him off. I've watched him grow up. I can't abandon him. There it was. She was already pushing, testing my limits. This was exactly what I wanted. I put on a show of internal struggle, then sighed heavily. I understand. You can continue sponsoring him, but you have to promise me. He's not allowed at our home, and there can't be any more behavior that crosses the line, especially after we're married. I need you to focus on our family. I played the part of a pathetic man, so blinded by love that he was willing to make the ultimate concession. Ava was more than satisfied with my performance. She put down her fork and knife, took my hand, and her eyes welled up with tears. Oh, Ethan, I knew you still loved me. Don't worry. I'll be more careful from now on. I'll talk to Leo and make sure he understands not to do anything that could make you uncomfortable again. She was so convincing, as if the ugliness between us had been nothing more than a small misunderstanding. After dinner, I drove her home. At her apartment building, she kissed me and whispered, "Ethan, let's go ahead with the wedding as planned. I'll talk to my parents." I nodded. As I watched her walk away, the warmth in my eyes vanished, replaced by ice. The fish was on the hook. Over the next few days, I acted like a man truly full of remorse. I formally apologized in the family group chat, claiming I had overreacted. I ordered a complete new set of furniture, even more expensive than the first. I went to the Sinclair's home and, in front of her parents, formally apologized to Ava again, promising I would treasure her forever. Her family was delighted by my complete turnaround. Eleanor held my hand, beaming. "Now this is more like it. Couples fight. It's all water under the bridge now." Ava, for her part, was basking in the glow of her victory. She thought she had me wrapped around her little finger, and so she pushed even further. Citing the need to compensate Leo for his emotional distress, she asked me for $50,000. I transferred it without a word. Then she said Leo needed a new laptop for his studies. I bought him a top-of-the-line Alienware gaming rig and had it shipped to him. Finally, as our wedding day approached, she made a request so audacious it was almost admirable. "Ethan, you know Leo never really had parents around growing up. I'm the only family he has. For our wedding, I was hoping he could be there for us, as your best man. What do you think?" She looked at me with pleading, expectant eyes. I stared at her face, a canvas of calculation and deceit, and laughed internally. Best man? She wanted my rival to be my best man? Ava, you really have no limits. But on my face, I showed only hesitation and conflict. At last, I gave a reluctant nod. "Okay, if it makes you happy." Ava's face lit up. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. "Oh, Ethan, you're the best." "Yeah, I'm the best. The best at planning a spectacular, unforgettable finale for this perfect pair." The wedding went ahead as scheduled. The venue was the most luxurious 5-star hotel in the city. I'd booked the entire grand ballroom. I sent out invitations far and wide, not just to our friends and family, but to every influential person in our circle and a few reporters from prominent media outlets. I told everyone I was giving Ava the wedding of the century, complete with a massive surprise. On the day of the wedding, Ava looked like a princess in her white gown, her face radiating a blissful, triumphant smile as she walked down the aisle on her father's arm. And there I was, in a tailored tuxedo, waiting at the end of the aisle to receive my bride. Standing beside me was my best man. He wore a matching white tuxedo, tall and handsome. It was Leo. As Ava approached, his eyes were filled with a look of pure adoration and possession. When her father placed her hand in mine, I could feel Leo's gaze on me like a dagger. He leaned in and whispered, so only I could hear, "She's beautiful today, Ethan. Take good care of her." "Of course, I'll be helping you with that." I ignored him, smiling as I took Ava's hand. Her palm was cool, trembling slightly with excitement. The officiant began his speech. The guests applauded, and everything felt as perfect as a dream. Then came the exchange of rings. I took out the newly made groom's ring and slid it onto my finger. Then, from my pocket, I produced another velvet box. I opened it. Inside, there was no ring. There was a USB flash drive. The smile on Ava's face froze. "Ethan, what are you?" The guests fell silent, watching me with confusion. I didn't answer her. I simply picked up the microphone and addressed the crowd with a calm smile. "To all our guests, friends, and family, thank you for coming to celebrate with Ava and me. Before we exchange our vows, I'd like to share something with all of you. A story about me, Ava, and my little brother and best man right here." With that, I handed the USB drive to the technician running the slideshow. The massive LED screen at the center of the ballroom lit up. The first thing that appeared was the infamous Instagram post. "Finally settled into the new place. The bed Ava set up for me is huge and soft." Below it was his smug comment. "The feeling of being the first man to lie on this bed is just incredible." Winking face. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. The color drained from Ava's face. She stared at me in horror, her lips trembling. "Ethan, what? What are you doing?" Leo turned ghostly pale and lunged for the microphone. I sidestepped him and gestured to security. 2 guards immediately came on stage and escorted Leo to the side. I continued to smile, my voice calm but carrying to every corner of the ballroom. You might think this was just a joke. For a moment, I almost believed that myself. But now, please enjoy the feature presentation. starring my fiancée, Ms. Ava Sinclair, and her little brother, Mr. Leo Vance, in the hit drama, The Making of a Charity Case. The screen changed. The first image was a photo from the PI, showing Leo's family home in suburban Pennsylvania. A beautiful two-story house with a brand-new sedan in the driveway. The second was a collage of Leo on dates with various girls at upscale restaurants, the tables laden with expensive food. The third showed him in a club, dressed head to toe in designer brands, buying rounds of drinks for everyone. Photo after photo appeared, each one like a slap across Ava's and Leo's faces. The whispers from the audience grew louder. I thought he was supposed to be poor. He looks richer than I am. My God. Look at the brands he's wearing. None of that is cheap. Ava's parents looked like they were about to have a stroke. Her mother, Eleanor, stared daggers at me, her eyes burning with hate. I wasn't finished. You might be wondering, how does a student like Leo afford such a lavish lifestyle? Don't worry. The answer is coming right up. The screen filled with screenshots of bank transfers. From my account to Ava's, marked Leo's expenses. Then, from Ava's account to Leo's, often for amounts far greater than what I had sent her. Next came a detailed list of every luxury item I had bought for Ava over the last 3 years. Bags, jewelry, clothes, each with a clear record, the total value exceeding $500,000. I worked my ass off to provide for our future. I thought my hard work would build us a beautiful life. Instead, my money was used to fund my fiancée's vanity and to let her sponsor her little brother. And this so-called brother, as it turns out, is no saint either. The screen changed again. This time, it displayed hotel check-in records. They clearly showed that long before Ava and I ever started dating, she and Leo had checked into the same hotel room together dozens of times. The ballroom fell into a dead, shocked silence. Everyone was stunned. Ava completely broke down. She let out a piercing scream and lunged at me, trying to claw the microphone from my hand. I caught her wrist easily. Let go of me. You're a monster. Ethan, you're a liar. She shrieked hysterically. I'm the liar? I leaned in close, my voice a low snarl only she could hear. You and your little lover played me for a fool for 3 years, and you call me the liar? The show is just getting started. I shoved her away, stepped back, and raised the microphone again. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, you're probably thinking this is just a sordid tale of a naive woman being manipulated by her grifter lover, who then teamed up to deceive me, the gullible fiancé. Right? No one answered, but their expressions said it all. Ava's father, Harrison Sinclair, could no longer stay silent. He rushed onto the stage, pointing a trembling finger at me. Ethan, that's enough. You don't air your dirty laundry in public. Do you have to make such a disgusting scene? Dirty laundry? I looked at him and smiled. A slow, predatory smile. Don't worry, Harrison. Your turn is next. He froze. I turned back to the audience and dropped my final, most devastating bomb. First, I thought the same thing. I thought Ava was just blind, manipulated by this kid. That is, until my investigator found one last thing. A DNA test. The screen displayed a crisp, clear scan of a lab report. The samples being compared belonged to Leo Vance and Harrison Sinclair. The result, highlighted in bold red letters. Read, paternity index is 99.999%. The analysis supports the conclusion that Harrison Sinclair is the biological father of Leo Vance. Boom. It was as if a nuclear bomb had detonated in the ballroom. Every head swiveled in disbelief between the ashen-faced Harrison, the catatonic Ava, and the petrified Leo. The first to completely unravel was Ava's mother. All the strength seemed to drain from her body. She let out a strangled cry and collapsed backward, caught just in time by a relative. She pointed a shaking finger at her husband, her lips moving but no sound coming out. Harrison's face was now the color of paper. He stumbled back, muttering, "No, it's not true. You're lying." Leo was in a state of shock. He stared at Harrison on the stage, then at Ava, his eyes wide with confusion and horror. "No, that's impossible. My parents are..." "Your parents are your adoptive parents." I finished for him, my voice cold and sharp. "Your real father is this man right here, the virtuous Mr. Harrison Sinclair. And the woman you've been calling your sister, Ava, is actually your half-sister, Mr. Sinclair, desperate to provide for his illegitimate son without his family finding out. Had his daughter funnel money to you under the guise of sponsoring a poor student. What a truly heartwarming family drama." I spat out the words sponsoring, provide, and student with pure venom. So that was it. That was the whole truth. The sponsorship was nothing but a front. A way for Harrison to assuage his guilt and provide for his secret son. Ava had known everything from the very beginning. She wasn't a victim. She was a willing participant in the lie. She had enjoyed the love and material comfort I gave her while maintaining an inappropriately close relationship with her own half-brother to satisfy her father's selfish needs. No wonder she was so fiercely protective of Leo. It wasn't love. It was a toxic cocktail of familial duty, guilt, and superiority. No wonder she could so easily accuse me of being petty. In her world, Leo was family, and I, her fiancé, was the outsider. And Leo? A boy who knew his true parentage but was forced to hide it. Forced to accept charity from his own sister. His mind had been twisted by years of resentment. He hated his illegitimate status and his father's cowardice. He was jealous of Ava, who could live her life in the open. And he was jealous of me, the man who could openly love and marry her. That's why he provoked me. Sleeping in my bed, wearing my ring. It wasn't just showing off. It was a sick act of revenge, a way of staking his claim. He was screaming to the world. See, I'm part of this family too. I possessed all of this before he ever did. What a pathetic, tragic, and utterly despicable family. They dragged me into their filthy secret, used me as a stepping stone and an ATM, and had the audacity to play out their incestuous psychodrama at my expense. My words were the final blow that shattered them. Harrison's legs gave out, and he crumpled to the stage, his eyes vacant. It's over, he mumbled. It's all over. Eleanor finally recovered from her shock and flew at her husband like a crazed lioness, clawing and screaming. Harrison, you bastard. You lied to me for all these years. I'll kill you. A wedding had devolved into a Jerry Springer-style brawl. Ava was kneeling on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. She wasn't crying over a lost love. She was crying because the secret she had guarded for so long had been ripped open for the world to see in the most brutal way possible. She was finished. Her family was finished. Leo stood frozen, staring at his hysterical stepmother, his broken father, and his weeping half-sister. Finally, his eyes met mine. The defiance was gone, replaced by a deep, bottomless hatred, and a flicker of relief. Perhaps, for him, the truth coming out was its own kind of freedom. The guests were speechless. The reporters' flashes went off like a firestorm, capturing every dramatic moment. Tomorrow, the Sinclair family scandal would be the talk of the city. I looked out at the chaos, feeling nothing. I raised the microphone for my final statement. My name is Ethan Cole. I didn't do this for pity. I did this to reveal the truth. A marriage should be built on honesty and respect. Any deception disguised as love will eventually be exposed. I hereby announce that my wedding to Ms. Ava Sinclair is officially cancelled. From this day forward, we go our separate ways. Furthermore, I added, my gaze sweeping over Harrison and Leo, regarding the conspiracy to commit fraud against me for 3 years under the guise of charitable sponsorship. My attorney has already filed a lawsuit against Mr. Harrison Sinclair and Ms. Ava Sinclair. I will not only recover all financial losses, but also sue for emotional distress. I have faith that the law will deliver justice. As for Mr. Leo Vance, my eyes locked on him. I'm told your university has a strict honor code regarding student integrity. I imagine the administration will be very interested to learn about a student who lives a life of luxury built on fraudulent financial aid and exhibits such a profound lack of moral character. Every word was a precision strike, cutting off their last escape routes. With that, I dropped the mic. Amid the shocked stares, the shouting, and the wreckage of their lives, I turned and walked off the stage without a backward glance. The wedding of the century became the scandal of the year. The Sinclair family was utterly destroyed. Harrison's reputation in the business world evaporated overnight. Partners and investors cut ties immediately. He faced not only my lawsuit and massive damages, but also a bitter divorce battle with his wife, who was determined to take him for everything he had. Ava became a social pariah. The kind, beautiful bride-to-be was now known as the girl who conspired with her father to defraud her fiancé, while carrying on a disturbing relationship with her secret half-brother. No company would hire her, no friends would speak to her. She became a recluse. Leo's fate was the worst of all. I had my lawyer compile all the evidence and send it anonymously to his university's disciplinary board. The school launched a full investigation and ultimately expelled him for gross misconduct, academic dishonesty, and fraudulent acquisition of financial aid. The golden boy, the shining star, was knocked from his pedestal and thrown into the mud. He lost his education, his reputation, and was saddled with the public stigma of his birth. I heard he went back to his hometown, became an angry, violent drunk, and was eventually kicked out by his adoptive parents. After that, he disappeared. My lawsuit was a slam dunk. With the evidence I had, the Sinclairs had no defense. The court ordered them to repay all the money I had given Leo, totaling over $100,000, and to pay me an additional $300,000 for punitive damages and emotional distress. They also had to cover the cost of all the furniture I had destroyed. The day the verdict came in, my lawyer, Mr. Davis, took me out for a drink. He raised his glass of whiskey. "Ethan, I'll be honest. In all my years as a lawyer, your case is the most satisfying one I've ever won." I smiled, clinked my glass against his, and downed it in one go. He was right. It was satisfying, vindicating, but late at night, when I was alone in that big, empty condo, a shadow of melancholy still lingered. I had gotten my revenge in the most brutal way imaginable. I had won completely and utterly, but the 3 years I had lost, the genuine feelings I had invested, the memories I once cherished, those were gone forever. Ava tried to see me once after it was all over. She stood waiting for me in the rain outside my office building, holding an umbrella. She was painfully thin and looked exhausted, all her former radiance gone. The moment she saw me, tears streamed down her face. "Ethan, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please, just give me one more chance. We can start over. I swear. I'll never lie to you again." I looked at her, my heart a stone. "Ava," I said evenly, "do you know what my biggest regret is?" She stared at me, confused. "It's not the money I spent on you, and it's not being played for a fool by your family. My biggest regret is that the first time you blew up at me for questioning you about Leo, I chose to believe in your kindness instead of trusting my gut. Some mistakes can't be fixed. Trust is like a piece of paper. Once it's been crumpled, you can try to smooth it out, but the creases will always be there. We were over a long time ago." With that, I opened my own umbrella and walked past her into the rain, never looking back. I never saw her again. A few months later, I sold the condo and all its bad memories. I used the money to launch a tech startup with a couple of friends. The business took off, and we secured our first round of angel funding within a year. I poured all my energy into work. I was busy, and it was fulfilling. I thought I had buried that chapter of my life for good. Then, a year later, I got a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was old and tired. "Is this Mr. Cole?" "It is. Who's this?" I'm Leo's adoptive mother." I froze. The woman on the phone seemed to be summoning all her courage to continue. "I know I have no right to call you. What my Leo did to you was wrong. And what the Sinclairs did was even worse. After we made him leave, he got into all sorts of trouble. A little while ago, he got into a fight and they broke his leg. He's in the hospital now, with no one to look after him. Mr. Cole, I'm not asking you to feel sorry for him. I wanted to apologize on his behalf. And there's one more thing. I don't know if I should tell you. While he was in the hospital, delirious from the pain, he kept calling out a name. It wasn't Ava, and it wasn't his father." She paused, her voice full of confusion. "He just kept saying, 'Ethan, I'm so sorry.'" In that instant, I felt a faint, sharp sting in my heart. After hanging up, I stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of my office, watching the traffic flow through the city streets below. I stood there for a long time. It seemed that even in that twisted, toxic relationship, the arrogant wolf who provoked me at every turn had, somewhere deep down, felt a sliver of guilt for what he had done to an innocent man. But that guilt came far too late, and it meant far too little. Couldn't change a thing. Couldn't undo the damage. I would never forgive them. Our lives would never intersect again. Outside, the sun was bright, bathing the city in light. I took a deep breath, closed the blinds, and returned to my desk. On it lay the business plan for our next round of funding. A new world was opening up before me. Everything that came before died with yesterday. Everything that comes next is born today. My real story was just beginning, and as for them, they were already buried in the past I had left behind.